Good afternoon, all you listeners out there, and welcome to another episode of The Journey Inward. I'm Venerina, and once again, I'm joined by Gareth Davies today. How are you, Gareth?
Hey, Venerina, how's it going? Great to be on the show today.
Excellent. Well, we've got a great topic lined up, and I'm sure that it'll lead off into other branches. But as we always do, we're going to start with one of our usual phrases, which is, we all need to learn to forgive ourselves and others for what seem like mistakes that we've made. To err is human. It's an essential part of the learning process. If we did everything right all the time, we'd never progress in life. We would just stay within the confines of what we know instead of taking new risks. So really, there is no such thing as making a mistake in life. It's all good. But the tendency of human nature is to attach emotion to feeling bad about the mistakes we make. So there you go. Gareth, what do you make of that?
Mistakes.
Love them, don't we?
I've had a few.
But then again,
too few to mention. Yeah, I mean, that's what life's all about, right? I mean, we're constantly doing things that are not best for us, not best for our friends and family, and I think most of the time, those kind of mistakes are unintentional. And when you realize that you've done you've done somebody wrong, or you've done something that's hurt someone, unintentionally, you want to try and make it right. But by the same token, what if the reverse happens to you? What if somebody wrongs you, does something to hurt you? Can you forgive them, or do you hold a grudge?
Well, this is very controversial, isn't it? Because I actually believe that people can only hurt you as long as you allow them to. Okay, because whatever somebody else does can only affect us depending on the amount of emotion we attach to whatever the person is doing. Is that correct or not?
I would agree, yes.
I mean, if I say to you, hey, you big oaf, you can take that two ways, can't you? If you're in a happy mood, you might say, hey, yeah, big oaf back at you,
right.
But if you're feeling low and you're having a day where everything is kind of like a rainy day, you're under a cloud, then you're going to take offense at that word. Now, it may be said in the same way, but what's happened is it's not the person who's intentionally trying to hurt you anymore, because they're not doing anything to hurt you. It's the emotional aspect that you've attached to what they've said, and then you automatically feel hurt. But they haven't hurt you. You've hurt yourself. So is there really anything to forgive here?
Well, that's true. Sometimes you'll get upset or bent out of shape because somebody has said something to you or done something to you. And, I think we touched on this in an earlier show, our big brains, our making stuff up to fit the scenario. And, we'll create this entire scenario in our heads about why this person did whatever to slight you, to hurt you, when in reality, the person that did it might not even be aware that they did it.
Yeah, no, they're completely unaware. I mean, most of the time, you just... How many times have you seen two people talking and one says something to the other and the other turns their back on them and rolls their eyes and then turns back at them and, turns towards them again, and you think, what was all that about? And you know that something's been said that the other person's taken offense to, but they don't want to actually respond in that situation.
Yeah.
But, it wasn't necessarily intentional from the person who said whatever was said, But I think the biggest thing with us as we're going inward, the biggest thing with human beings is that we hold on to a lot of guilt, don't we? And so we don't forgive ourselves in a lot of ways, for things that we've not done or not said, or, and then we think it's too late. I've had people say to me, I feel really bad because my grandfather died and I never managed to say this and I never managed to say that. And it's kind of like, people make death so final that they forget, you've got to forgive yourself first before you can make peace with the spirit of your granddad or whatever, if you believe that there is a spiritual world. how do you feel? I mean, I'm sure you've had times where you've held on to this guilt and this feeling of unforgiveness towards yourself, haven't you?
No, never. I'm perfect. Nothing ever like that happens to me.
Oh, sorry, I forgot you're a saint. Of course.
No, of course. I mean, we all have moments like that in our lives. Everyone goes through pain. Everyone goes through suffering. And while you also go through happiness and joy, you know you're winning if the happiness and joy outweighs the suffering. But it's going to happen. You're going to have to deal with issues in your life, regardless of what your station is in life. Whether you're homeless or a billionaire, you're going to have some days where it's not going to be the greatest. But those are the days where you learn. Those are the days where you try to, where if you're smart, you begin to look inward and ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Now, this person said this to me, and it really pushed my buttons. It really upset me. It really made me mad. Why? Why am I feeling this way?
Yeah, I think that's the key. That's the key issue there. When something's going on around you, I think people need to just stop, don't they, for a second before they react or before they even think to themselves, how they're feeling or, how they're responding. They need to say, but why? Sometimes I find that people who have a lot going on in their mind tend to lash out on people they don't mean to lash out on, don't they? Yeah. So you get a customer who goes into a shop, you're the shop assistant, and you're standing there and the customer comes in, I can't find this bloody product, right?
Right.
And it's nothing to do with the product.
Yeah,
they might say to you, you're incompetent because I can't find it. You sent me over there. It's nothing to do with you or the instructions you've given them. You've probably given them perfectly clear instructions, but it's the fact that they've got so much stuff going on in their head, right, that they haven't stopped for a second to actually appreciate where they are, what they're doing. Chances are they misheard half your instructions because they weren't properly listening, because they weren't focusing. And so they take this pre-packed anger that they have, before they even came into the shop, right out on you. And then you get offended because you think, oh, what a rude customer, I had today. And if you're very sensitive, it can actually make people cry. It can actually reduce people to tears. I've seen it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've worked in retail, many, many years ago. I worked at a record store. Remember records? Remember those things? And you see this, and people would come in and get extremely angry and upset over what you would consider to be something that's, fairly trivial. And obviously there's a lot more going on there than the surface level of what they appear to be upset about.
Absolutely. I mean, I had a woman once in a hotel who was trying to explain something to me, and she thought I wasn't getting it, okay? And it got to the point where she actually stomped her feet in front of me, and then she started crying. And I looked at her and I was like, forgive me, madam, and tactfully, I said, but are you sure? Are you okay?
She
because this is
her feet?
Yeah, she actually stood there like a little child, just like this, trying to put her point across. And I was explaining her point, and I could see she was getting more and more frustrated and more tense.
Yeah.
And just like, no, but you don't understand. And she did that a few times, and she got so tense, she reduced herself to tears. And I was kind of like, wow, and luckily for me, I knew what was going on, and I just said to her, forgive me, madam, are you okay? And then from this whole thing sprang out, of what was on her mind.
Yes.
And people, all of us, we really need to deal with these issues that are going on inside us, because if we don't, we're just going to, there are enough wars in the world. We don't need to create little personal ones with everybody we meet every day. I think that 90% of every conflict, every daily conflict would be resolved if we learnt to resolve these inner conflicts. Don't you agree?
Well, yeah, I would agree. But don't you think what's going on, though, Venerina, is it's not so much the person that's telling you these things to upset you. It's how you react to them. It's more of the way somebody acts towards you tells you more about them than you.
Because if they're like this woman, who's stamping her feet and getting really frustrated with me,
right.
It was
speaks
telling
volumes
me
about her mental state, about what's going on with her.
It was telling me all about the way she was feeling at that moment in time. Now, if I'd been a different person and I'd reacted, kind of, I couldn't care less, or if I'd, got frustrated myself with her, then it could have spiked into a fight. It would have turned into a fight, because of the situation it was. And this is why I'm saying, not just as the person who's behaving in a certain way, but also as the receiving person, you need to stop just a couple of seconds, detach your own emotions from what's coming at you and, completely be open to the fact that maybe there's more going on with the person in front of you, and just be a little bit compassionate, a little understanding, try and put yourself in their own shoes, their shoes for a few minutes.
So when somebody treats you poorly, it's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of them.
Yes, absolutely. I must stop saying that.
Absolutely.
I need to stop saying that. I'm not allowed to say that word anymore. But I agree with you. It does tell you a lot about a person. And, one of the times especially that the best comes out in a person, and that is in a state of panic and emergency.
Yeah.
But the best that comes out in a person is not necessarily the best. It's their best. Now, that best can be really, really nasty.
Right.
But people will actually tend to show their true colours in a situation of, emergency and panic.
That's true.
And so the more they have going on in their mind, the more ugly it could potentially get.
Yeah, and in a panicky situation, to try and remain calm and think logically and rationally is a challenge for the best of us, because your emotion kind of takes over. So to kind of stay focused and think, okay, let's do this, calm down. It's a challenge, because the emotional part of your brain is yelling at you quickly. It's going crazy. So for you to kind of take control, it's very difficult. And what makes it worse is if you're trying to keep calm and there's 10 people around you running around like chickens without heads. Because that kind of panic is it's infectious.
But panic situations can actually happen as well when you've got a lot on your mind. If you're late, okay, so you leave home, right, on the verge of being late. So you've got no time, to mess around, no time to, you hope all the traffic lights are green, right? You shouldn't do this. You should leave 10 minutes early at least, right? But we all leave on the limit, don't we, of the time we know it takes to get somewhere.
Right.
So then the gate won't open to let you out the house, let's say, right? Your gates to get the car out, or the garage door jams, or you get to the traffic lights, every single traffic light is red.
Yep.
Okay? So eventually you get to the place where you're going, like 2-3 minutes late or 5 minutes late. And so the first person, so you're already kind of like, aren't you? Because you're late. And because everything has gone wrong, or you think everything's gone wrong on the way to the destination. And as soon as you get to the destination, what do? You look for somebody to take it all out on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's like a pressure cooker, and it goes so far, and then the first person that's in front of you, hey, good morning, sir, how are you doing? Get out of my way, don't you dare, I'm late.
Exactly.
You know, but it's not that poor person's fault.
But the true test here is, you know, to do. I mean, it's I guess it's kind of natural to feel that way and to lash out occasionally, but the test then is once you've calmed down and you've settled down, to walk over to that person and say, hey, you know what? I yelled at you earlier. I apologize. I'm sorry. I had a really bad morning, and I took it out on you, and I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, but it's too late. You can't shoot somebody and then go and apologize.
No, I know.
You know, you should actually stop just before you get there, shouldn't you?
No,
I mean, not
I
to
agree.
you personally,
no,
of course.
I agree with. I absolutely agree with what you're saying, but how many people actually do that and go later and say, you know what, I apologize. I'm so sorry I spoke to you that way. I know obviously some people do, but they're definitely in the minority.
0.0001%.
It's a tiny percentage. Most people are just like, yes, whatever. Next, and then on to, you know, whatever. They could care less. Society.
Well, actually, sorry, I was going to add something there because I hold that thought you were having, but I was going to say, and what if the guy that you've just, get out of my way, he turns around and under his breath he says, arsehole, and you heir it, and then you say, how rude can you be? And then he goes off and complains to his manager, to the boss, the guy's boss.
It's a spiral.
Says, your guy is, is so rude and da-da-da, fire him, right? It's not just spiteful now, is it? You've put a person out of a job because you were late when you could have got out of bed 10 minutes earlier. Right, you could have left the house 5 minutes earlier.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's kind of snowballed, and
we live in a society where everything is me, the individual. It's me. It's me. You know, like we were tuning up our voices the other week on the Mindset Podcast, right? Me. Right? You know, we're all. Everything is me. You know, it's like forget you. You're nothing. It's all about me. So to have these kind of outbursts and to blame everyone else, what's that? I'm surrounded by idiots.
Yeah.
How many times have you heard that? Oh, I'm surrounded by idiots. Everyone here is an imbecile. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't get nothing done.
Look, the only intelligent
look
person
at all these fools. Am I the only person who can do this? Well, no, you're not. But the way the way they're acting, the way this person is acting, the way I'm acting is. You're telling everyone about your inner turmoil, your inner person, how messed up you are. Not everyone around you. You.
Yeah, but the worst thing is, you see, everybody, every single human being on this planet has something, skewy going on.
Oh yeah, of course.
Everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's when the two skewies meet.
They always say yes, a dysfunctional family. Well, you know what? Show me a functional family. It's like
I was going to say, can you define functional family?
Well, it's like every the whole dysfunctional. Every family is messed up. Do you remember when you were a kid? I remember this when I was a kid. When you grow up with your parents and your siblings and you do that's normal, right? That's normal life to you. And then you make friends with people. And I had this friend, his name was Eddie. I always remember this. And he's like, and we're really into horror movies and stuff. And he said, yeah, I got these great horror magazines. He said, come over to my house, we can go through the books and everything. And I was like, okay, cool. And, after school, I went home and I said, yeah, I'm going over to Eddie's house. Okay, bye. And I went over there and his parents were there. And it was like I was on another planet. It was so bizarre. The way they acted to him, and how they just, okay, put your feet over here, barking orders. Yes, Dad. And running around. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And it was like the antithesis of the way I lived. My house was very kind of minimal rules, very free. If I wanted to watch a late night movie, that's fine. Go ahead. It was very kind of relaxed. Whereas his house, it was like I was walking into Auschwitz. There's a million rules and this, and don't bang. And I was like, oh my God. And it's so weird, that whole there's no such thing as a functional family.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's no such thing as a functional person, really, is there? Because everybody's got their own stuff going on in their heads.
Yeah.
But I think the worst kind of I think the worst thing about all this is that people don't think about the consequences that it has and how far those consequences reach. You know, they put on the internet some time ago something about if you spread a smile, you know, if you smile at one person, that has a knock-on effect and it'll spread and, you know, and before you know it, the whole world will be smiling. Well, the same thing happens with rage, doesn't it? I mean, so our guy's walked into this hotel or wherever he's gone. He shouted at this poor guy who whispered under his breath, said something under his breath, you know, and got fired. Yeah. He's going to go home and take it out on the wife. Right. If he's a wife basher, he's going to beat her up. Yeah. The wife's going to go and pick up the kids and take it out on the kids. Yep. The kids are going to go and bully some other kids somewhere else. And before you know it, you've got a whole generation of, you know, screwed up, bullied kids. You know,
well, you can kind of mold your environment too, depending on your attitude. If you walk into an environment with several people, and you're smiling, you're upbeat, you're helpful, you're talkative, you appear to be interested in their lives, asking about, you know, their spouses, their children, what they did this weekend, what's going on, and even though, you know, you're pretending, you really could care less about them, but you can change the whole vibe, and even if you start off as like, you know, I don't care less about this guy, but I'm going to fake it. After a while, that fakeness will go away, and you'll be like, you know, I actually do kind of like this guy. You know,
yeah,
and it'll change the whole environment. Whereas if you walk in with a scowl on your face and you're all mad and you let's get this done, then you know it's a nightmare.
Well, okay. Here's my big question. Why do we hang on to this crap in our head anyway? You know, there's a great Buddhist saying that says, why stress over the things you don't have the power to change if you don't have the power to change them?
Yeah.
And why stress over the things you have the power to change if it's within your power to change them?
That's a wonderful, wonderful quote. I still want to do the Buddhism show sometime in the future, Venerina. So I want you to pencil that in. I think that would be an amazing journey inward. But yeah, I would agree with that. People take this thing called life way too seriously. Way too seriously. You have people walking around with the weight of the world on their shoulders.
Literally, and you can see it. They walk with a little arch in their back.
They're stressing out. Oh, I got bills to pay. I got this project to complete, and then I got to go pick up this. And they're killing themselves. And for what? For nothing. For what? It's nonsense.
And before they know it, life's gone. And what have they enjoyed?
You know, and it's the stress and you're getting all beat up and everything's so serious and deadlines and please get out of here. You're out of their minds.
Yeah.
You know,
at the end of the day, when we die, we don't take anything with us, people.
Exactly.
Nothing.
Exactly. You know? You're going to get all stressed and all crazy and get all full of fear and anger and hatred and you're going to drop dead.
Yeah, because you're going to have a nice little heart attack and then you're going to get gout and you're going to get all those little diseases that come with stress. And, you know, the body's going to look withered. You're going to look tired. You're going to age before, you know, it's necessary. You're going to go grey before your time.
I always remember as a kid when my brother always used to, like, vanish. and my mother would be worried out of her mind. I mean, he would always be fine. He'd always come back, you know, like he'd be like an hour late. So you'd be home at 6 and he'd come home at 8 or something, right? It wasn't like, you know, end of the world. It was fairly trivial. But my mother would be worrying. She'd be worried out of her, oh, what happened? I wonder what happened. And I always remember saying to her, I said, you know, if something has happened or if it hasn't happened, you worrying about it, what is that going to change? How is that going to affect the outcome of whatever has happened or not?
Absolutely, yeah.
And she was like,
yeah,
I know, but I can't help it. I mean, you know, it's like, because if you're getting all worried, whether or not this thing has happened, you worrying and getting upset about it is not going to change that outcome.
No.
So
no, and this is where I say, we
for?
hold on to too much stuff in our heads. We think about things too much. We overanalyze things too much. We create these movies that you talked about.
Yeah.
And it goes nowhere because it solves nothing. You can't solve anything in your head.
Why do we hang on to all this guilt, anguish, pain, all of these things that, it's all water under the bridge. All this stuff could have happened to, 1,000 years ago. But it's still wrapped up tightly inside you, all these feelings and these thoughts. And why do we hang on to that?
I think that's an individual question that each person would answer differently, wouldn't they?
Probably
so. We can't answer it from...
Can you generalize?
Well, in the majority of cases, I'd say that it's because, like you said, it's because of guilt, literally. And because I think people always want to be right. And always, this is another human trait, isn't it? We always want to be right.
Yeah.
We don't like being wrong. Wrong is humiliating, but then we're conditioned to think that, aren't we?
Sure.
I mean, the media have plugged into us and conditioned us to thinking that if we're not right and if we're not successful and if we don't do this and if we don't do that, then we're not perfect and then we don't fit in society. We're not this and we're not that. We've allowed ourselves to become completely under the scrutiny almost of the media, not even society, because this is now, we can't say that it's a society that dictates the rules anymore. It's the media that dictates the rules to society and veers a whole or steers a whole society in one direction or another. And I think that's the thing. We feel this, oh my God, inadequacy. This is the word I need. We feel these inadequacies because of the media. And so we think, oh my God, I should have said that. Oh my God, I shouldn't have said that. Oh my God, I should have done this. Oh my God, I shouldn't have done that.
We're being programmed with unrealistic expectations. And we believe them. Now, there's a lot of reality shows on television. I don't know whether you get them or not in Spain, but here in California, in the U.S., we get a lot of these crazy reality shows like what's it called?
Jerry Springer.
Well, no, like the Kardashians and the Jersey thing with the hairstylists and all of these kind of reality shows, which they're not really. It's nonsense, right? But all of these people are all very, very successful. They have lots of money. They go on great vacations. They have nice cars, nice houses. And everything is presented in a way that to have all this stuff and to live that kind of life is normal. This is just the normal way of life. Right? It's not like, oh, this is all extravagant and way out there. It's not like we're looking into the lives of kings and queens. These are just normal, regular people who happen to be multimillionaires. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's presenting a normalized view of extravagance. So when people who are just real normal people who either have average jobs and average houses and struggle to pay the mortgage and to go to work every day and do all their normal stuff that everyone does, when they see this kind of reality show where they're presenting a new level of normal life, it makes them feel inadequate, not making it, things aren't right, why aren't I living that life? And all these seeds of discontentment and self-hatred and self-loathing, and they're all planted. I mean, it's all subconscious, but I strongly feel that these shows are kind of programming us to be miserable, to not be happy with what we have.
Mm. But that's the problem, isn't it? Another human trait is to focus always on what we don't have or what we didn't say rather than what we do have, and to focus on being unhappy because we don't have rather than focus on being happy because we do have. Everything, I think, in not just these reality programs, but everything in the media kind of veers us that way, don't they?
Sure.
you're led to believe that if you're a woman and you're not a size whatever, then you've got to be unhappy because you're not that size. You're not that stick thin, sick anorexic model.
But that's true.
My apologies to the models that I know out there.
That's true, though. That's not fake.
What's true?
What you just said.
Yeah, it is true. Sorry,
I'm joking.
yes.
I'm joking. I was saying that. That was a failed attempt at humor. Okay. Go.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Duh. No, it's me being a bit thick, I think.
But yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. It's giving mostly women, but men also a false sense of body image. If you don't look like this, well then, hey, something's wrong. Something's not right. When the opposite is true.
But it's not just body image, is it? It's what's the latest one? They're pushing these brain training games, aren't they?
Oh,
so
yeah,
if you don't buy this game to train your brain, you're going to be as thick as two short planks, and you're going to have Alzheimer's in the next 5 years.
When you're on YouTube, you see them on YouTube. That's where I've seen them. Where you click, you say, "Oh, this looks like a cool video," and you click it, and then you get some retard commercial that you got to sit through.
Yeah. But that's one of the things, right?
Then you see this girl come out and say, "Yeah, well, I work out, but I never work out my brain." So, and I'm like, "You mental case." Click. Do you know what I mean? It's like, come on.
Yeah.
It's like, who's falling for that, right? But I guess a lot of people are, because these people are in business. I don't know. But go ahead. I interrupted. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I was just saying it's not just physical. It's physical, it's mental, it's emotional. The emotional one, the best emotional one is like, you won't have perfect kids.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't,
we went through that.
You don't have these baby products.
Oh gosh,
your kid's not going to be perfect.
We went. My wife was like, when my kids were super young, there was all these. They market the toys as like learning, to learn. They can learn stuff and learning and this and then the play Beethoven with the. And I remember saying, this is like, this is nonsense. This is nonsense. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, these is proven. Please. So if we don't buy this stuff and we don't play this for the kid's going to grow up to be a mental case. Come on. Do you know what I mean? It's like, come on. It's retarded. And then there's the pressure for the. We got to potty train them. We got to get, they're in diapers too long. We got to get. I'm like, so what? If we don't potty train them, my son's going to be going to college with diapers on. Are you crazy? Of course he's. It's insanity.
Yes, and it's because. For all you people listening out there who have never really thought about this, it's because the media has to program you to tell you you're not happy with something. Because if you're not happy with something, you'll buy it to make you happy. But the truth is, you're just chasing your own tail. Because buying something is not going to make you happy.
It's I discovered this many, many years ago, where the desire of wanting something, the feeling of wanting it, the feeling of owning whatever it is, a car, house, whatever the case, the desire is always more powerful and more pleasurable than actually owning it.
Yep.
It's like, I'd love to, look at that car. Oh, it's so awesome. Oh, my God. My life would be so perfect if I got that car. It's so great. Oh, my, look at it. Oh, take it for a test drive. Oh, look at this. It drives perfectly. So you buy it. 2 weeks later, it's just a car, whatever.
Yeah. The worst, I think, is when people actually, they have that attitude. They see an advert on TV. As you know, I don't have a TV, but the last time I watched TV, they used to have all these shopping channels on there.
They still do.
And, well, for me, the worst thing is, you see them count down how many of the product they sell while they're actually doing the advertising.
Yeah.
And they're doing this advertising. You're going to really do if you buy this. And, oh, my God, we've only got 100 to give away. Oh, but look, we've only got 15 left. So, there have already been 75 people out there who really needed this product because they believed this product was going to make them happy, and my mum is guilty of this, right? And then when they get it and it's home, It stays in a box for years and years and
Sure.
years. And then it gets to a point that after a decade, it's like, who do you think I could give this to for Christmas?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's all control, manipulation.
It's psychological marketing and advertising to play on our emotions,
Yep.
Play on the fact that we think we are needy, which we're not needy. None of us are needy. We have everything we need.
Well, when they say, we got 15 left, only 15 items left. Call now if you want to partake in this deal. What they're saying 15, but they're leaving out the other 3 zeros.
I was going to say they probably thought about 1,000 already or something.
But what they're doing is they're playing on our scarcity gene.
Well, they're not even scarcity. They're just making it elite, aren't they? Because if there's only 100.
Well, it's the thing like, well, if I don't get it now, I'm not going to be able to get it at this price. It's all control and manipulation. It's a way to sell products to kind of grab you and make you buy it. If I don't buy this now, I'll never get this again. I better do it, which is nonsense.
Yeah. Or I'm so special because I managed to get into the top 100 and get one of these.
Right.
That makes me different. I'm different. We're all different.
Yeah.
There's no difference between, none of us are the same.
So if we're programmed by the media, we're programmed by society, we're programmed by our culture, we're made to feel bad, we're made to feel angry, we're made to feel that we're inadequate, right? And unless we're doing these things that they deem to be the right things to do, we hang on to guilt throughout our lives. How do we beat this? How do we kind of move past this and just be happy and content and have a nice time?
Well, personally, I think the first thing that people need to do is sit down and stop thinking about what they don't have. Okay, and look around them and see what they do have, and be thankful for what they have, because whatever they have, guaranteed, it's probably 100% more than the people who are living below poverty line, right. And 50% more than the average Joe Blogg out there who now is, especially in this financial climate, is suffering a lot.
Yeah.
So, you should be grateful for what you have. It doesn't matter if you don't have, an Xbox just because the neighbor's got one. It doesn't matter if you don't own a TV like me. Who cares, Be thankful that there are internet shops if you don't have a computer. You can go to an internet shop. You should be happy with what you have and say, I have this, I have that. Not, I don't have. I don't have makes me sad.
But it's easy. What you're saying, though, while I agree with you, it's easier said than done. Because if you're just one voice in your head, and wherever you look in this world, you're being bombarded by voices and images which tell you the opposite.
Yeah, shut them off, shut them out. That's why I don't have a TV, because I can't put up with the crap on it.
What I try and do is, when I'm out and about or driving or whatever, is I look at billboards. Mm-hmm. And because everywhere you look, somebody's trying to sell you something, right? Everywhere.
Yep.
Buy this, buy that. Everywhere you look. So I look at billboards and I look at what they're really selling. Mm-hmm. And I drive along and I look at one and I say, okay, they're trying to sell happiness. These guys over here are selling fear. And go through and just see what the underlying message of what they're trying to do to get you to buy their thing. Like the fear one is, this burglar alarm, we offer full security on your house. This will protect you. And so they're selling, it's fear. They're selling fear. Mm. And the other one then is like, you can lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks if you. They're selling happiness. They're alluding to the fact that if you lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks, you'll be happier. So they're trying to sell. So they're selling happiness. So the fear, happiness, everything you look at has an underlying component, whether of what they're using to try and sell something to you.
Yeah.
So I play that game, and when you play that game, it takes away their power because you understand the components that they're putting in place to make you buy their stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that people need to just switch off from advertising completely, I've seen it with a lot of women. I don't read girly magazines. In fact, I've never really been a girly. And I've met lots of girlies, and they sit there with these magazines, and they're like, "Oh, that top would suit me, that skirt. Oh, but it might not. Oh, I wouldn't look like the model." Well, come on. Do you want to look like the model, or do you want to look like you? Maybe the model one day would meet you and say, "I want to look like you."
Yeah.
You know, everybody's in this competition, aren't they? This is another reason. I mean, not only does the media tell us how we should behave, what we should have, how happy we should be or shouldn't be, the media also makes us competitive.
Yeah.
Right? For no reason whatsoever, because there is no reason in this world for us to be competitive. In fact, there is strength in union, there is strength in collaboration, and if we collaborated more instead of fought with each other more, you know, we could make a stand even against the governments. We keep saying, "Oh, we can't do anything."
Which is why individualism and the me is such a major component of society and culture in this world
politics.
in this, because if you have people thinking about themselves and not their surroundings and their community, number one, they're easy to control, and number two, they're not going to get together with everyone and find out who's controlling them.
Absolutely.
So you have to keep them individualized. Me. But once because that's the way to keep everything in line. The competitiveness also, the competitiveness is intentionally put out there to make us compete on an individual level. You know, whether you're at work, whether you're competing with your coworkers, whether you're a company, your company is competing with another company. All of this is alien to the human spirit. Humans are naturally cooperative. Humans naturally help their neighbors. Right? They've done studies on this. It's a natural component of being human. To be competitive and work against people, that's unnatural. And you'll find that when you're in an environment that promotes that kind of competitive vibe, you'll always find that there's somebody or some people above you which are forcing you to act that way. In other words, well, you need to be competitive. You need to sell this. You need to do this, or you're not going to get paid.
Fear again.
Right? So you got the fear component, and it's always an outside influence making you act that way. If you were left to your own devices, you'd naturally be collaborative and helping people and getting a team together and working together towards a common goal. So whenever you're in an environment, it's a competitive environment. It's always foreign. It's always alien. And it's always being manipulated from above. It's never a natural environment.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. But I think, to be honest, I mean, I don't like to get very political on this show, but I do believe that in this financial crisis that we find ourselves globally, things will change slightly. I'm actually seeing it happen more and more here in Spain, anyway. At least people are becoming more collaborative rather than competitive, because I think people now are waking up to the fact that they can't survive against the big boys unless they do something, you know, in a move to help each other. Yeah. Because this financial climate that we find ourselves in is killing small to middle businesses.
Right.
And the individual, the structure of the individual isn't working anymore. You know, this theory of individualism just isn't working. And I'm finding slowly but surely it's creeping in. You know, more people are collaborating and more people are working towards that goal. Like I said, there is strength in union. You know, there is strength in union. Sure. But governments believe in the old Julius Caesar, divide and conquer. And that's literally what they've done. But it can't last that long, because I was talking to somebody yesterday and they said, you know, that the way things are going, it can only lead towards more and more protests and anarchy. Let's stop with the politics, because that's not what this show is about. And I think it may be time to actually wrap up the show, isn't it?
Yeah, we can call it a day. But before we do, can I just get your basic philosophy on how or if it's even possible, for an individual who's dealing with guilt and or dealing with people that are pushing their buttons, how they can kind of move past that and get
well,
through it.
The first thing I would say is to actually be able to deal with anything, right? You have to change your own mindset. Now, if you're dealing with a person who is pushing your buttons, okay, the only way you can counteract that is by being calm. So they can come at you with everything they've got, but if you're still in your mind, okay, and when I say still in your mind, I mean that your mind is completely focused on nothing, right? I'm not saying empty, I'm not saying stupid, I'm just saying completely still. So you're not thinking, you're not building scenarios in your head, you're really calm, at one with you, in peace, okay? If you have that kind of peace in your head, then whatever comes at you, you're just going to, it's going to be water off a duck's back, you know? There will be times, of course, that you're going to get a little bit upset. But when you start getting upset, you need to catch yourself, okay, and go back to that calmness. Actually, a very easy way of doing this for a person who doesn't, either meditation is really good for this kind of thing. But if you don't want to practice meditation, what I say to people is, focus in your mind the most beautiful, peaceful place you've ever been on earth. Okay, so whether it's a sandy beach, just, you know, lying there catching the rays, but you saw this beautiful cloud or whatever, or if it's a garden or a natural park, wherever you've been, okay, there was the most beautiful place and most peaceful place in your life. When somebody's coming at you, think of that place. Just go there in your head and stay there. No matter what's coming at you, just stay in that peaceful, beautiful place. Because when you're thinking beauty and you're thinking peace and you're thinking happiness, there's no way you can get angry with anybody else. Now, to hold on, to let go of guilt and to actually forgive, you need to stop thinking about things. And you need to learn to forgive yourself. Now, you can do this in a number of ways. You can do it by, it depends obviously on the situation, but you can do it by breaking the situation down into little pieces. Okay, and putting all the little pieces into boxes and labeling the boxes from important to unimportant.
You mean like physically doing this or just mentally?
Mentally doing this. Okay. Or you can physically do it, write it on a piece of paper even, right? And then just go through the little boxes one by one. Is that important, unimportant? Oh, well, that can go. Is this life-threatening? Is it not life-threatening? Is there a reason to hold on to this? Is there not a reason? And if you ask these questions, right, with every single little box, you'll whittle it down to maybe one box or two boxes in the end, right? Because you'll find that nothing ever is that important. Or, you know, Brian Tracy used to have a great question, which was, what's the worst that could happen, you know? And so even that, ask yourself that, you know, what's the worst that could happen if this is so important? What's the worst that can happen? Yeah. You know, and start really analyzing why you think it's important, and then think, well, am I emotionally attached to it? Yeah. Then detach yourself emotionally from it. Once you detach yourself emotionally, you kind of step out of the situation and you look at it from a totally different point of view. You're kind of like, wow, was it really worth holding on to in the first place? Now, there are cases where people have passed away, okay? So you have a loved one who's died and you feel guilty that you didn't say something or you didn't do something. The only thing you can do in those situations is, if you're a believer, okay, or if you have a faith, you can pray and ask for forgiveness. If you're a spiritual person, you can have a conversation with that person, right? A great way is with hypnotherapy. Okay, you can do hypnotherapy, whereby you can, with a trained specialist, and you can imagine in your head that you're talking to the person. Okay, see that person, visualize them, and talk to them. Ask for forgiveness. You know, because at the end of the day, if you know that person loved you, there is no way that person would stay angry with you. Yeah. Right? They would forgive you anything if they love you. So why do you beat yourself up over something you know that person would forgive you for? Yeah. And once you realize, you know, and once you feel the love, then you stop all the negative, destructive emotions. And that's what you need to hold on to. You need to hold on to that person's love, you know. And if you didn't say something, well, you can say it to them in your mind. You can, you know, if you didn't do something, then all you can do, the best you can do, is ask for forgiveness and make sure that when you meet somebody else that needs that something doing, that you do it. and make it up to that person and the person who passed away.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Venerina. That's some good advice there.
I rabbit too much sometimes. Okay, well, everybody listening out there, we really, really thank you for listening in. And I personally would like to thank you. I know Gareth has done it as well, for the great comments that we're getting on the shows, on the episodes that we've done so far. You guys make it all worthwhile. You agree on that, don't you, Gareth?
Absolutely.
So thank you very much, Gareth, for joining me. Absolutely. Yeah, we've got to get rid of that word. We've got to get rid of that word. And we look forward to doing another journey inward for you very soon. And take care. And as Gareth would say, go on, say it, Gareth.
Farewell, good brothers.
Peace out, humans.
Yeah, peace out, humans. I got so many catchphrases, I forget which one to say. Okay, peace out, humans.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.